Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. Now in this video, basically we're going to be discussing how do we measure utility. But hang on a second, why is there a need to measure utility? Now to answer this question, we first need to understand that why are we actually studying the theory of utility and why is it so relevant to our course. Now you guys have already studied previously about demand. You've studied what the demand theory is. And hang on a second, when I talk about demand theory, what comes in your head? Like what really pops up? Obviously, there are two aspects to demand theory. First is how much a consumer is going to buy given the changes in price, or maybe let's say if his income changes, if its income rises or falls, how is that going to affect his relevant purchase of certain quantity of goods? Or let's say if there is changes in price, how will that affect the respective quantity of the goods he buys? So basically, demand, when we are studying demand, we're actually trying to analyze or study the consumer behavior. Because demand is what? Demand is the willingness and the ability of the consumer to purchase a product. And when you say that demand is the willingness and ability to purchase a product, an alternative way of saying it would be demand is the consumer's willingness and ability to actually pay for a product, right? So demand is willingness and ability to pay. So when you say that demand is willingness and ability to pay, how much a consumer will pay, whether he will pay more or whether he will pay less, is actually based on the principles of utility, or how much satisfaction he will be actually deriving from that particular product. Or you can say how more or how less the consumer will buy given changes in prices, given changes in incomes, or the entire science behind the consumer behavior is actually derived from the principles of utility. So the reason why we are studying utility is because we want to understand or analyze the demand theory. And when we say that we want to analyze the demand theory, we want to analyze the consumer behavior. How does consumer purchase? What makes a consumer purchase more or less given changes in price and given changes in incomes, right? Remember, we studied in law of demand that if price rises or falls, it affects the relevant quantity demanded. When price falls, quantity demanded rises. When price rises, quantity demanded falls. And we also studied that when incomes rise or falls, demand shifts, right? We have already seen those concepts in our previous lessons. Now we have already studied these concepts in our previous grades or previous lessons, but how is all of that related to utility? I mean, is there really a connection between demand and utility? Absolutely yes, there is a very deep connection, and we will try to establish this connection in this video. So do subscribe to my channel and watch this video till the end. So guys, when we are studying utility, our ultimate objective of studying utility is to derive a connection between the utility theory and the theory of demand, that is consumer behavior. Because consumer behavior, like I said previously as well, is based on the science of the utility theory, and our purpose would be, or our ultimate aim would be, to actually transition the concepts of utility theory into deriving a demand curve and ultimately leading to the laws of the principles and the theories that we've already studied in demand curve, that how are they linked to the theory of utility. Okay, so here I've already mentioned that the demand is the willingness and ability to pay, that is how much or how less a consumer buys, whether it's given or fixed budget, or whether it's given price, whether he will buy more or less, is actually based on the demand theory. And this demand theory is actually, when we say demand theory, that is the law of demand or shifts in demand, is actually deriving or coming or transitioning. The utility theory is transitioning itself into the demand theory, and that is why it becomes very important to actually study the utility theory, so that we can actually study the consumer behavior, so that we can further strong our concepts, further develop the concepts of our demand theory. Now, first of all, very importantly, we need to first study, if you're studying utility, we need to first study how do we measure utility, and that is the main ultimate objective of this video. How are we actually going to measure the utility? Are there any relevant standards? Are there any relevant measurement tools for measuring utility? Because utility is what? Utility is satisfaction, or the happiness that you have derived from consuming a particular product. So how are we going to measure that satisfaction? Is there a way? Yes, there are ways that economists have developed in the past, and there are two approaches to measure utility. The first approach is the cardinal approach. The second approach is the ordinal approach. The ordinal approach is the approach on which the indifference curve theory is developed, and the cardinal approach is the approach on which the marginal utility theory is actually developed. Now guys, as far as the ordinal theory or ordinal approach to measuring utility is concerned, I'm going to be covering that in the later on videos, but just let me brief you what is the ordinal approach to measuring utility. The ordinal approach to measuring utility just ranks the utility. Instead of measuring utility in a way that instead of giving it a particular measurement number or instead of quantifying it, the ordinal approach to measuring utility will rank the utility in the order of preference. So like I can say that I prefer certain quantity of oranges over certain quantity of apples, or I can say I prefer certain quantity of oranges more than this particular quantity of apples or oranges. So I'm actually kind of ranking the utility in my order of preference, that I prefer this over this. And why will I be preferring this over this? Because maybe I'm getting more satisfaction. So you can say that ordinal utility, or where you're establishing or where you are ranking utility, is more of a mental phenomena or a more psychological phenomena instead of measuring utility in numbers, right? And we are going to be now for this video, I'm not going to be going into a lot of detail as far as ordinal utility is concerned, because ordinal utility will then develop itself into the theory of the indifference curve, because this theory of indifference curve is actually developing from these concepts of ordinal utility, but these will be covered in the later videos on the same utility playlist. So just hang on and wait till I get over there. Okay. Now what is cardinal utility, guys? Cardinal utility is basically measuring utility in terms of numbers. It is quantifying utility. It is giving it a number. So when I say that it is giving it a number, there are actually two ways. In the past, economists have measured utility by giving the utility an imaginary number, and I had also discussed this utility of imaginary by giving it an imaginary number, that is utils, in my previous video as well. So when you say that you are giving utility an imaginary number, and that imaginary number is called utils. So basically you can say that by consuming a particular 1 unit of chocolate, I'm getting 10 utils of satisfaction. Or you can say by, let's say, consuming 1 apple, I am getting 20 utils of satisfaction. So 1 chocolate is giving me 10 utils of satisfaction, 1 apple is giving me 20 utils of satisfaction. So you are actually giving it an imaginary number. It's like saying that I get 10 utils of satisfaction or 20 utils of satisfaction, but where 1 util is actually equal to 1 unit of a satisfaction. Now obviously it has certain limitations, and I'll come to that, but when you're saying that 1 chocolate is equal to 10 utils of satisfaction and 1 apple is equal to 20 utils of satisfaction, you're actually able to quantify the utility, right? You're actually measuring utility in numbers. You're actually attaching a number to it. You're measuring it, you're quantifying it, right? And based on this, you can also say that apple is giving you twice as much as utility as that of chocolate, because chocolate is giving you 10 utils, apple is giving 20 utils. So you can say that apple is giving me twice as much as utility as that of chocolate, right? So, and saying that apple gives you utility that is twice as much of chocolate is only possible, guys, when you are attaching a number to it, and you are attaching an imaginary unit that is utils. It's just an imaginary number that you're attaching, because, and why are you doing that, by the way? Why are we attaching this imaginary number? Because we want to actually come up with a solution. We want to measure utility. If we can't rank utility, right? So if I was ranking the utility, I could have said that apple is giving me more satisfaction than that of chocolates, because here I was prioritizing apples over chocolates, but in ordinal utility approach, right? But since right now that's not my topic of the video, I'm focusing more on cardinal. So basically, when I say that I'm measuring utility through cardinal numbers, I'm attaching a number to it, quantifiable number to it. There's a need to measure utility, because I need to know how much of satisfaction am I actually getting out of the consumption of 1 chocolate or 1 apple, right? So you need to understand that economists who were supporting the idea of cardinal utility did not reject the idea of ordinal utility. They said that, okay, fine, we agree that ranking the utility is fine. We understand that you rank the utility, you prioritize it in the order of preference, that this gives you more satisfaction than that. We understand that. We are not rejecting the idea, but we believe the economist who supported the cardinal utility approach said that we believe that utility can also be measured in quantifiable numbers, because they needed a measure for that. So you guys need to understand that, for instance, if let's say if if these are two markers and I need to measure the length of this marker, and I don't have a scale to measure this length, so how am I going to measure this length? I have to, somehow I have to come up with an approach, right? So I'll measure it like by saying, this must be, equal to, I don't know, some number, and then this must be equal to 1.5 something, I can say, 1 and then 0.5. So I'm actually giving a number to that because I don't have a measurement criteria. I'm actually coming up with a solution and measuring it according to a certain criteria, and measuring it is important because I need to measure the length of this. Similarly, an economist needed to measure the utility, they needed to measure the satisfaction. So if ranking or preference, so economists who supported this idea said that we are not rejecting your idea of ranking utility in the order of preference, but we think that we believe that you can also measure utility. And one way of some economist who supported the idea of measuring utility in quantifiable numbers said that utility can be measured in utils. It's just an imaginary number saying that one chocolate gives me 10 utils and one apple gives me 20 utils, right? However, Alfred Marshall, right? Okay, by the way, I've written the spelling wrong. It's Alfred Marshall. So Alfred Marshall, he was a very famous economist. He also, by the way, supported the idea of measuring utility through quantifiable numbers, that is the cardinal utility approach. So Alfred Marshall said that you can measure utility in money terms, right? He said that, because the reason why he said that was because obviously measuring utility in utils is kind of not practical. It doesn't kind of make sense. So he said that, Alfred Marshall said that utility can be measured in money terms. And this actually quite makes a lot of sense. I'll tell you why. For example, you go to a shop, and by the way, when he said that utility can be measured in money terms, it meant that he's attaching a monetary value to utility, and you'll understand what this means, where utility is equal to the price of the product paid by the consumer. Utility is equal to the price of the product paid by the consumer. What it means, just hold on, let me explain. For example, you go to a shop and you say that you want to buy, let's say, good X, right? You want to buy good X. So the shopkeeper tells you that good X is worth, let's say, $2,000, and you are like, this is quite expensive, and you think that the shopkeeper is telling you a price that is way too much for this product. This good is, according to you, is not worth 2,000. According to you, this is only worth, let's say, $1,500. It's not worth 2,000 by any means. Now, when you are mentally thinking this and evaluating the worth of this product, because again, this is again linked to consumer behavior. When you are mentally calculating this, you see another consumer who enters the shop and he asks for the same good X. He says, how much is it? The shopkeeper tells the same. He says that, it's worth $2,000. You see that he pays the price, $2,000, and he leaves. The shopkeeper gets the $2,000 and the consumer leaves with the good. And you're seeing this happening, right? And okay, so, and assuming that this is you and this is Mr. A. So assuming that your income and Mr. A's income is the same. So why is this happening? Both have same incomes. You have a certain amount of income, monthly income. He also has the same amount of monthly income that you have. So we are keeping other factors constant. So income is constant, and he pays $2,000 for it, but for you, this good is not worth 2,000. You don't want to pay 2,000. So don't you think that $2,000 is the price of the product? $2,000 is the price of the product. You don't want to pay 2,000. You want to pay 1,500. He pays 2,000 for it and he leaves. Both have the same incomes. Can't I say that if he pays $2,000 for it, then he must be receiving at least $2,000 worth of utility? Because for him, if he's paying $2,000, we can say that he's getting a satisfaction that is equivalent to $2,000 at least, isn't it? So haven't I measured utility in quantifiable numbers? Haven't I attached a value to it? Haven't I attached a number to it? That is what cardinal utility is. And Alfred Marshall actually said that you can measure utility in money terms where utility, the amount of utility that you will get from the consumption of a product is actually equal to the price of the product that you're paying for it. If I buy a marker for, let's say, $10 and I want to say, so by the way, why have I paid $10 for it? If I didn't like the marker, I didn't want to buy this marker for $10, then I shouldn't have paid $10. If I'm paying $10 for it, it means that I'm going to be getting a utility of $10 for it. That is why I paid for it, right? So having said that, it actually kind of makes perfect sense. This is actually perfect sense. And ultimately, you will see that in my coming videos, I'll link all these concepts and I'll bring you all to the theory of demand. And you will see how the theory of demand is actually consumer behavior. I'm actually repeating it 3-4 times in this video. I understand I'm repeating it a lot. But there's a reason why I'm repeating it, because a lot of at times students don't even understand that why are we studying utility, why are we studying demand, why we are deriving the demand curve from the marginal utility concepts. What's the reason behind it? There is a big reason. So when you're saying that you want to pay 2,000 for it, you want to pay 1,500. So if you want to pay 1,500, you're like so when the other person leaves, Mr. A leaves, you tell us you bargain with the shopkeeper. You're like, you know what, just reduce the price of the product. The shopkeeper says no, but you're like please reduce it. The shopkeeper agrees and you buy the product for $1,500. You buy the product for $1,500, he bought the product for $2,000, both paid different prices. So for you are getting for the same product, the same quality, the same incomes, you're getting a utility for that is worth $1,500, or you can say that you're receiving a utility which is $1,500, isn't it? So can't I say that your marginal utility for the consumption of this product, that is good X, is $1,500? Your utility for the product for the consumption of good X is $1,500. Similarly for you, this is for you. And the marginal utility for Mr. A is also worth $1,500. Sorry, is worth $2,000. So for him it's $2,000, for you it's $1,500. Make sense? So what I'm trying to say is that marginal utility is basically the marginal utility is when you're measuring marginal utility in money terms. So you're actually, the price of the product becomes your marginal utility. That the price you pay for the product is your marginal utility. And this is the cardinal utility approach. The ordinal utility approach will be ranking utility in the order of preference, and then the theory of indifference curve will be developed on the ordinal approach to utility. And the cardinal approach to utility is basically studying consumer behavior through the marginal utility approach. And the marginal utility approach of consumer behavior is measuring utility is in cardinal numbers. Understood? And the consumer behavior, and when we are analyzing consumer behavior through the indifference curve approach, which we will study in the later videos, that is actually measuring utility through the ordinal utility approach. That is, it's ranking utility instead of measuring it in numbers. Okay, I'll just erase the board and I'll explain something further. Okay guys, I'm back. So for example, if you're measuring utility in money terms, that Alfred Marshall gave the concept where the marginal utility is actually equal to the price that you're paying for the product, right? The marginal utility is actually equal to the price that you're paying for the product. And it makes kind of sense, like I said, that Mr. A, he gave how much? He paid $2,000. So we can say that he's receiving a utility that is worth $2,000. And since money is measurable, so obviously you're actually able to quantify utility if you're measuring it in terms of money. And you paid $1,500 for it, so you can say that you're receiving a utility of $1,500. So guys, remember now one thing very carefully. From now onwards, until we reach the ordinal utility approach, basically when we are going to be developing the entire demand theory based on the marginal utility theory, we are going to be measuring utility in money terms. So now forget the utils approach, right? That was just an imaginary number and that doesn't kind of make practical sense. So that is why from now onwards we are going to be building the utility theory based on the Alfred Marshall approach, where he said that utility is basically measured in terms of the price you're paying for the good. And that is why the entire utility theory from this video onwards till all my remaining videos that I will be putting in the utility playlist will be based on, until I reach ordinal, will be based on the fact that I'm going to be measuring utility based on money, right? That is based on the price of the product. So from now onwards, we're going to be measuring utility in terms of how much we pay for that product. And having said that, whatever price we pay for the product actually becomes the value or the amount of satisfaction that we have received. If I buy this for $2, it gives me a satisfaction of $2. That is why I have paid $2 for it. So this is it, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'll see you all around in the next video. Until then, take care.